12 days until Election Day, the candidates racing through swing states. And tonight, Governor Romney gaining ground big time in Virginia. The latest poll news showing Governor Romney now leading President Obama by 2 points, 47% to 45%. Now, 1 month ago, President Obama led in Virginia by 7 points. And in Michigan, this is a big change. A poll for Detroit's Fox TV station showing Governor Romney and President Obama are now tied at 47%. And of course, that's not all tonight. Governor Romney also wiping out the president's lead among women. According to the latest Associated Press GFK poll, Governor Romney has now tied the president at 47% each. Now, just a month ago, President Obama had a 16-point advantage among women. Former Speaker of the House, Newt joins us. Good evening, sir, and good evening from here at the LBJ School at the University of Texas, I understand, tonight?
I'm here in Austin. Had a wonderful time at the LBJ School and delighted to be with you.
All right, well, let's go to your adopted home state of Virginia now. What a change in a month. Governor Romney now up 2 points. A month ago, President Obama was up 7, so that's now a 9-point differential in a month. What happened?
Well, let me just first of all end the anxiety, Greta, for our many viewers. I believe the minimum result will be 53-47 Romney, over 300 electoral votes, and the Republicans will pick up the Senate. I base that on just years and years of experience. But take a look at the momentum. James Carville taught me many years ago that if you're the incumbent, you get the last number in the poll. You don't gain anybody. So to go back to the numbers you just gave us, and just for 1 second, if you could do it easily, read Obama's number. And he's like 45, 47, 46. I mean, if that's where he ends up, and that's the Carville rule, and I think it's a good rule, then he is going to lose an amazing number of states. States that are tied, if they're tied 47-47, that means that the incumbent's at 47. Guess what? That's called losing. Now, when you get that kind of a surge, Virginia's a good example. I think George Allen's going to win. So you're going to pick up a Senate seat. You go around. I was with Tommy Thompson 2 nights ago. In fact, Callista's in La Crosse tonight doing a book signing for her new Ellis the Elephant book. And we were with Tommy Thompson 2 nights ago, did a fundraiser for him. He's up 3 points. He was down 11 6 weeks ago. He's up 3. He's convinced, as a guy who's won 5 straight times in Wisconsin, he's going to carry the state, and he believes absolutely that the Romney-Ryan ticket is going to do very well in Wisconsin, that people are excited to have Paul Ryan of Wisconsin on the ballot. Now, you start carrying a Wisconsin, Virginia's going to get sealed off, Florida's going to get sealed off, North Carolina's already sealed off. As you point out, Michigan's starting to be in play. I think Pennsylvania's starting to be in play. Suddenly, it's a much bigger arena. And if you watch the president this morning, I'm not going to repeat what he said, but if you watch the president this morning, this is a guy who's really rattled. He lost to Bobby Rush really badly in a primary many years ago, and I think he's getting that feeling that this could be like Bobby Rush, and he could just go down, and I don't think he's very comfortable thinking about being an ex-president.
You know, I have, going through some of those states, of course, as you know, I'm from Wisconsin. I have thought that Wisconsin would go for Governor Romney. And one of the reasons was because Congressman Paul Ryan is from a very, very Democratic district. And, you know, it's always been sort of curious how he could get elected as a Republican so many times. But he is so well liked. And then you look at 4 years ago, President Obama won by 14 points Wisconsin. But then 2 years later, they elected a Republican governor. Then they had a huge fight, and they had a recall, and he won by a larger margin when he was elected. So the trend has been moving in that direction, Wisconsin. So I'm not surprised by Wisconsin.
But you start down that road. I was with Scott Walker. I asked him what's going to happen. A couple of weeks ago, he said the team they've built, the way they won the recall, he's confident with Paul Ryan on the ticket they're going to win. I saw John Kasich, governor of Ohio, a couple of nights ago. He said it's on the road. They're going to get there. I talked to Rob Portman today, senator from Ohio. He said he thinks it's coming together in the right kind of way. Energy is a huge issue in Ohio. They just announced recently 5 billion barrels of oil in the Akron-Canton area around Youngstown. Many new jobs. You can suddenly imagine the new North Dakota could be Ohio. These kind of things are all coming together in a very positive way for Romney. And you have Obama, who, you know, failed to show up for the first debate, was far too aggressive in the second and third debates, has a vice president who looked frankly irrational, like he'd drunk 5 Red Bulls in a row before the vice presidential debate. And that's all, I think, beginning to build a pressure. The pressure in Chicago and the Obama campaign right now must be extraordinary.
Well, let me ask you about Ohio, because I mean, so many political strategists say that he almost has to win Ohio. No Republican has ever become president who hasn't won Ohio, and the unemployment level in Ohio is down below the national average. And if you say that there's this new business on the horizon, why President Obama doesn't get the credit for that, and why that would not suggest that voters would go towards President Obama over Governor Romney?
Well, on energy, there are 2 things that hurt President Obama. The first is every single person who goes and fills up their tank with gas, they pay $2 a gallon extra for every single gallon because of Obama's policies. Think of that as the Obama tax on working Americans, $2 a gallon every time you fill up your tank. Second, increasingly people are aware that the Obama Environmental Protection Agency will close down and stop the very processes that are going to create those jobs in Ohio. So if you want those jobs in Ohio, you've got to defeat Barack Obama to stop his bureaucrats from strangling the state of Ohio. It's that simple. And I think as that message sinks in, my impression is Ohio is always a competitive state. It has a very strong Republican Party. It's basically conservative. You go down along the Ohio River Valley, the war on coal by Obama has alienated county after county. You look at the basic everyday conservatism in places like Cincinnati, and you see that there's a really good opportunity here. I believe that Romney will carry Ohio. I also believe that the Republicans are going to win the U.S. Senate race in Ohio. So I'm pretty optimistic that this thing is going to come together in the right way.
All right, well, I've taken notes to all your predictions so that, I can talk to you the day after Election Day, see where you are on your mark. But, Mr. Speaker, do not go away, because we have more to talk about after this break. Hey, coming up, Rush Limbaugh, he has been watching on the record. And we are back with Speaker Newt Gingrich. Sir, current Speaker of the House, John Boehner, has written a letter to the President of the United States about Libya, and he has said, among other things, that no one in the administration can substitute for his voice, and telling him that he wishes that he would tell us, and essentially, and Congress and the American people, what happened in Libya. Do you agree with the current Speaker?
Yeah, I think Speaker Boehner has done something important here. You know, Colonel Bing West, who's a remarkable Marine, recently wrote an article pointing out that they had 7 hours to get forces to Benghazi, that they had a Marine detachment in Sicily, they had a F-18 unit in Sicily. The F-18s could have been over the consulate in about an hour. The Marines could have landed in Benghazi in about 2 hours. The 2 SEALs who were killed don't die till 4 o'clock in the morning. The fact is we left the consulate with all sorts of secret documents uncovered, open to anybody. So you go back and you look at that and you say, why didn't somebody, not necessarily the president, but why didn't somebody in the national command system figure out in the opening minutes, let's get the Marines in there, let's get the fighter aircraft in there, let's drive away the insurgents, and then let's protect the embassy, the consulate. And I think Colonel West has raised a very, very important question that I hope people like John Boehner will pick up on and really push. There's a missing 7 hours when lives could have been saved, American secrets could have been preserved, and something should have been done. And apparently not only was the president not available, neither was anybody else in the National Command Authority.
Well, it's so curious why the president hasn't spoken out. And I've gone through old transcripts. He went on Jon Stewart, and he said, in part, what I've always tried to do is to make sure that we just get all the facts. Well, that's not true, because he went out with the video, and that was never a fact. He goes on a few seconds later and says, every piece of information we get, as we got it, we laid it out for the American people. Well, that's not true. They got an email that night in which some terrorist group had at least claimed responsibility while they were not claiming that it was terrorism. So it's just not true. He's left this big mystery for the American people, and I'm anxious to hear, what happened?
Look, it's not a big mystery. The president has been peddling a set of falsehoods since the very first days. For some reason, and I don't know whether it's the president's sympathy for Islam or the president's unwillingness to confront the reality of Islamic extremists or what it is. I'm not rendering judgment here. But for some reason, he fixated on this really stupid movie which I've never seen, most Americans have never seen, and practical people with common sense will never see, and my hunch is the president's never seen. But if you look at his speech to the United Nations...
But it's even more bizarre than that, because he fixated on it, but it wasn't like it was never mentioned in any emails. I mean, it's sort of like it was mentioned at something that might have been a protest way over in Cairo, Egypt. I mean, there was never any suggestion that there was a video here. I mean, that's what was so bizarre about it.
I think in their minds, I think this is a psychological problem, not a policy problem. I think in their minds, Obama and his top people had this image that they could explain all the problems in the Middle East as America's fault. Once again, we had done something bad. Once again, they had to apologize to the U.S. I mean, look at his speech to the UN, which is frankly an embarrassment. I mean, here's a guy who, and you can see he's in personal pain. It's as though he's personally offended by the attack on Islam, and it's personally, emotionally engaged him. And so I think they just lumped Libya into this larger picture, and they were very resistant. Remember, even after his press secretary says to the White House press corps, okay, this was a terrorist action, the very same afternoon the president, I think, is in Florida, and he says, oh, this is all because of that film. He cannot let go of this. But there's a deeper question here. I mean, forget Obama for a half second. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, members of the Joint Chiefs, General Petraeus out at the CIA, Secretary Clinton, the National Security Advisor, Tom Donilon. None of these people thought of the fact that we had Marines sitting in Sicily. None of them asked about the F-18s sitting in Sicily. This is the point Bing West is making. We might have saved these lives if we'd had a commander-in-chief or a team that was prepared to do something decisively.
All right, just a quick question on tomorrow. Governor Romney is giving a speech in Iowa on economics. What's the sort of is it going to be a sort of a stump speech, or do you think we're going to hear something a little bit new?
We may hear some new things. I can't tell you, because I frankly have been both in La Crosse, Wisconsin, and now down here in Austin, so I'm not going to pretend. I do think that he understands that the more vividly he can portray a job-creating, energy-developing, free enterprise model, the bigger the gap's going to get between he and Obama.
Mr. Speaker, always nice to see you. Thank you, sir.
Good to be with you.
Coming up, Texas. Well.